I watched 3 armed men corner my husband in our favorite restaurant. His entire family sat there, the same people who've hated me for 2 years. They thought I was just a worthless nobody. They had no idea who I really was. What happened next changed everything forever. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because the twists in this story will blow your mind. Trust me, you need to see how this unfolds. Let's get started. My name is Laura, and I've been married to Daniel for 2 years. 2 years that have been filled with more love than I ever thought possible, and more pain than I care to remember. You see, Daniel isn't just any husband. He's a self-made billionaire who built his fortune from nothing, and I love him more than life itself. But his family? They've hated me from the moment we said I do. Daniel's mother, Patricia, is the kind of woman who measures people by their bank accounts and designer labels. From day one, she decided I was a gold digger, a nobody who trapped her precious son into marriage. Then there's Kevin, Daniel's older brother, who never misses a chance to make jokes about how I'm draining the family fortune. His wife Melissa is even worse, always commenting on my clothes, my hair, my simple lifestyle. And Grace, Daniel's sister, she's the sneakiest of them all. She smiles to my face and stabs me in the back the moment I turn around. They all come from old money, the kind of people who've never had to struggle for anything. Me? I grew up in a small town, working-class parents, nothing fancy. To them, that makes me less than human. For 2 years, they've been pressuring Daniel to divorce me. For 2 years, they've made every family gathering a nightmare. But Daniel loves me, and I love him, and somehow we make it work. Tuesday nights are our sacred time. Every week, we go to this cozy Italian place called Angelo's. It's nothing fancy, just good food and warm atmosphere, and Angelo himself always greets us like family. Usually, it's just the two of us, laughing over pasta and sharing stories about our week. But this Tuesday was different. Patricia had called 3 days earlier, insisting on a family dinner at Angelo's. She said there was important family business to discuss. Daniel didn't want to go. He knew what these dinners meant for me, how much they hurt. But I told him it was okay. I told him I could handle it. I always did. When we arrived that evening, I was wearing a simple red dress and comfortable flats. Nothing expensive, nothing flashy, just me. Melissa showed up in head-to-toe designer wear, and her first words were, "Oh, Laura, still shopping at discount stores, I see." I smiled and said nothing. I'd learned that silence bothered them more than any comeback I could offer. We sat at the large center table Patricia had specifically requested. Maximum visibility, maximum humiliation. That was her style. Kevin started immediately with his jokes about how I was probably spending millions of Daniel's money. Grace added her fake sweet comments about how it was such a shame Daniel had settled so quickly. I felt Daniel's hand tighten around mine under the table. He was getting angry, but I squeezed back, telling him silently that I was okay. Then Patricia dropped her bomb. She slid a folder across the table to Daniel and announced that she wanted him to sign a post-nuptial agreement. "To protect the family assets from certain people," she said, looking directly at me. She went on about how I'd obviously trapped Daniel, how a marriage this quick couldn't possibly be real love, how the family needed protection. Daniel's face went red. He slammed his hand on the table hard enough to make the glasses jump. "Enough!" he shouted. "Laura is my wife and I love her. I'm not signing anything and I'm done with this conversation." The nearby tables went quiet. People were staring. Patricia's mouth formed a thin line. This wasn't going according to her plan. I couldn't take it anymore. The tension was suffocating, and I needed air, needed space. I excused myself quietly, told Daniel I'd sit at a corner table for a bit. He understood immediately. His eyes were full of apology and love as he squeezed my hand. "I'm sorry about them," he whispered. "I love you." Patricia's voice cut through the moment like a knife. "Running away as usual, dear." Kevin laughed. "Can't handle a little family conversation?" I walked away with my head high, dignity intact, and found a small table near the window. It was quiet there, away from their poison. But more importantly, and this was instinct I couldn't shake, it gave me a perfect view of the entire restaurant. Every entrance, every exit, every person. Old habits die hard. You see, there's something Daniel doesn't know about me. Something nobody knows. Before I met him, before I became this simple, quiet wife everyone underestimates, I had a very different life. I spent 8 years in special operations, military, the kind of missions that never make the news, in places that officially don't exist. I was trained to handle situations most people can't even imagine. I was good at it. The best in my unit, actually, but my last mission went wrong. People died, people I cared about, and I couldn't save them. When I came home, I was broken. I left that life behind, buried my uniform, my weapons, my past. I wanted peace. I wanted normal. I wanted to forget the violence and the death and become someone new. When I met Daniel at that little coffee shop 2 years ago, I fell in love with his kindness, his genuine heart. I never told him about my past because I didn't want to be that person anymore. I wanted to be just Laura, just his wife, just normal. So I sat there at my corner table, watching Daniel's family continue their cruel commentary about me, and I tried to breathe through the pain. Patricia ordered expensive wine, celebrating what she thought was her victory. Melissa and Grace were whispering and giggling, probably about my dress or my shoes or my hair. Kevin was suggesting Daniel should upgrade to someone worthy of the family name. Daniel looked miserable, glancing over at me with heartbroken eyes. That's when they walked in. 3 men. The moment they entered, every nerve in my body went on alert. It was automatic, instinctive. The way they moved, the way they scanned the room, the subtle bulges under their jackets. I recognized danger the way other people recognize faces. The leader was average height, well-dressed, moving with predatory confidence. Behind him were 2 enforcers, one massive, built like a tank, and another thin and wiry with cruel eyes. They weren't here for dinner. My mind shifted into combat mode without my permission. Exit points mapped, potential weapons identified, civilian count calculated, distance to Daniel measured. I watched them scan the restaurant, and my stomach dropped when their eyes locked onto Daniel's table. This was a hit. I quickly pieced together what was happening. Last month, Daniel had mentioned a property development deal that fell through. The Riverside project. He'd been excited about turning an abandoned warehouse district into affordable housing, but the previous owner had backed out suddenly, and Daniel had been confused about why. Now I understood. That property must have been connected to dangerous people. These dangerous people. The 3 men walked straight to Daniel's table. Patricia noticed them first, her face showing annoyance at the interruption. Kevin actually started to say something rude, but then the massive enforcer towered over the table and everyone went silent. The leader spoke with dangerous politeness. "Daniel, we need to talk about the Riverside property." Daniel looked genuinely confused. "I'm sorry, who are you?" The leader's smile disappeared. "You cost me $3 million. Grace gasped. Melissa clutched Kevin's arm. Patricia, being Patricia, tried to take control. "How dare you interrupt our family dinner?" The thin enforcer laughed coldly. "Shut up, old lady." I'd never seen Patricia's face go so pale. Daniel stood up, trying to de-escalate. "There must be some mistake. Can we discuss this privately?" But the leader, who I later learned was called Bruno, grabbed Daniel's shoulder and shoved him back into his chair. "No mistake. You ruined my deal. Now you pay." Kevin, trying to act brave, puffed up his chest. "Do you know who we are?" The massive enforcer, Tank, grabbed Kevin by the collar and lifted him slightly off his chair. "We don't care who you are." Kevin's bravado evaporated instantly. He whimpered. Melissa screamed. Grace started crying and Patricia sat frozen in terror. Daniel kept his voice calm, hands raised. "Let's talk about this like reasonable people. I'm sure we can work something out." Bruno pulled out a knife, not brandishing it aggressively, just holding it casually, letting everyone see it. "I'm done talking. You have 2 choices, pay me now or bleed." Angelo, bless him, tried to reach for his phone. The thin enforcer, Razor, saw it immediately. "Nobody calls the cops or Grandpa dies first." Angelo's hand froze. He put the phone down slowly. The entire restaurant was watching now, paralyzed with fear. Patricia's voice came out in a desperate whisper. "Daniel, do something! Pay them!" Daniel's voice was strained. "I don't carry $3 million in cash, Mother." Bruno smiled like a shark. "Then we take you to an ATM. Your family stays here as insurance." From my corner table, I watched it all unfold. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I was already calculating angles, vulnerabilities, timing. Bruno started pulling Daniel from his chair. Tank kept the family pinned with just his presence. Razor watched the crowd, hand moving toward his concealed weapon. Daniel was struggling, trying to protect his family even after everything they'd done to him. "Please, my family has nothing to do with this," Bruno laughed. "Family? These people? They've been trashing you all night. We heard everything. Then Patricia did something I'll never forget. She shouted, 'Take him! Just don't hurt us!'" Grace nodded frantically. "We barely know him." Kevin, desperate and terrified, actually said, "He's not even really family. He's adopted." It was a lie, a complete lie, just to save himself. Daniel's face crumbled. The betrayal hit him harder than any punch could. Melissa pointed directly at me. "His wife is over there. Take her instead." They all pointed at me, offering me up like a sacrifice. Bruno's eyes followed their fingers to my quiet corner table. Something inside me snapped. Not anger, not rage. Something colder, more focused. They'd betrayed the man I loved. They'd shown their true colors in the most cowardly way possible. And now they'd made me part of this. As Bruno started walking toward me, time seemed to slow down. Images flashed through my mind. My old unit, training drills, combat situations, the promise I'd made to myself to never use violence again. But then I saw Daniel's face, saw the hurt and fear in his eyes, saw him struggling against Bruno's grip to protect me even now. My promise shattered. Bruno reached my table, smiling. Well. The wife. Maybe you're worth something." I stayed seated, voice completely calm. "Let them go. Take me." He laughed. "How noble." "Tank, grab her." Tank approached, reaching out with one massive hand. I moved. 8 years of training, muscle memory that never fades. I grabbed his extended arm, found the pressure point, twisted, using his own momentum against him. 300 pounds of muscle crashed into a nearby table. Plates shattered. Tank lay there, stunned and groaning. The restaurant erupted in gasps. Patricia screamed, "What is she doing?" Razor pulled his gun, aiming at me, but I was already moving. I grabbed a chair and threw it with perfect precision. It hit his hand exactly where I intended. The gun flew across the room, sliding under a booth. Razor clutched his broken fingers, howling. Bruno realized in that moment that I wasn't what I seemed. He pulled his knife, dropped into a defensive stance. "Who the hell are you?" I didn't answer. Words weren't necessary. I moved toward him, and Tank tried to charge me from behind. Combat awareness, the kind that saved my life a dozen times overseas, told me he was coming. I dropped low. Tank crashed into Bruno instead. As Tank stumbled past, I delivered a precise strike to his knee, the kind that drops even the biggest opponent. He went down hard. Razor tried to rush me with his good hand. I sidestepped easily, found the pressure point on his neck, and he collapsed unconscious. The entire fight lasted maybe 30 seconds. The restaurant was dead silent except for heavy breathing and Razor's soft snoring. Only Bruno remained standing, but his knife was shaking in his hand. He backed toward Daniel's table desperately and grabbed Patricia, holding the blade to her throat. "Stay back or the old witch dies." Patricia was sobbing, terrified, looking at me with eyes that suddenly saw me as her only hope. Kevin was shouting, "Do something!" Save Mother. Such concern now when minutes ago he'd offered Daniel up without hesitation. I stopped, raised my hand slowly. "You don't want to do this." Bruno's voice was panicked. "Shut up! I'm leaving with Daniel or she dies." Daniel was struggling to get free. "Let her go! Take me instead!" Even now, even after their betrayal, he wanted to protect them. I kept my voice cold and professional, the tone I used on missions. "Look around, Bruno. Your men are down. Police are coming. Sirens wailed in the distance. Angelo must have called when the fighting started. Bruno pressed the knife closer. Patricia screamed. "You won't," I said calmly. "You're a businessman, not a killer." Bruno was panicking, desperate. "No! You made a mistake marrying into money." I took one step closer, my eyes locked on his. "I didn't marry money. I married love." I glanced at Daniel, let him see the truth in my eyes. "Something you'll never understand." That half-second of distraction was all I needed. I moved faster than Bruno could process, grabbed his knife hand, twisted it backward using a joint lock. The knife clattered to the floor. Simultaneously, I pulled Patricia away to safety. Bruno stumbled forward off balance. I swept his legs and he crashed down face first. Before he could recover, I had my knee on his back, arm twisted in a submission hold. "I can't breathe!" "I give up," he gasped. Police burst through the door, weapons drawn. "Nobody move!" I calmly raised one hand, keeping Bruno pinned with my knee. "These three attacked my husband. They're all yours, officers." The aftermath was chaotic. Officers handcuffed Bruno, Tank, and Razor. Paramedics swarmed in to check everyone. Patricia was hyperventilating, being given oxygen. Kevin and Melissa sat in shocked silence, unable to process what they'd witnessed. Grace was crying quietly in a corner. Angelo was giving his statement to police, gesturing animatedly about what he'd seen. The lead officer approached me with a mixture of respect and curiosity. "Ma'am, that was incredible. You have training?" I nodded simply. "A long time ago." He seemed to understand there was more to the story but didn't push. "We'll need a statement." "Of course," I said. "But first..." I walked to Daniel. He was staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time, which in a way, he was. I reached him, my voice soft again. "Are you okay?" He couldn't speak for a moment, just stared. Finally, "Laura, what? How?" I took his hands in mine. "I'm sorry I never told you." "Who are you?" he whispered. Tears filled my eyes. "I'm still me. Still your wife. Still the woman who loves you more than anything." Daniel pulled me into the tightest embrace I've ever felt. "You saved my life. You saved all of us." I buried my face in his shoulder. "I only care about saving you." We held each other as police finished their work and paramedics packed up. Patricia was watching us, her mouth open in disbelief. Kevin whispered to Melissa, "Did you see that? Did you actually see that?" Melissa couldn't even respond, still shaking. Grace approached slowly, timidly. "Laura, thank you." I nodded but didn't let go of Daniel. Then Patricia found her voice. She approached us, looking smaller somehow, humbled. "Laura, I don't know what to say." I turned to face her, still holding Daniel's hand. Patricia struggled with her words. "You could have let them take Daniel. After everything we've said to you tonight, after how we've treated you for 2 years." Kevin stepped forward, shame written across his face. "We called you worthless. We wanted you gone." Melissa was crying now. "I told them to take you instead." "I'm so sorry." Grace's voice was barely a whisper. "We betrayed Daniel. We betrayed both of you." Patricia's voice cracked. "But you saved us anyway." "Why?" There was a long pause. I looked at each of them, these people who'd made my life miserable, who'd just shown their true cowardly colors. "I didn't do it for you." Patricia flinched like I'd slapped her. I continued, "I did it because Daniel loves you. And I love Daniel. That's what real family does." The words hit them harder than my fists had hit Bruno's men. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "We've been so wrong about you. So completely wrong." Daniel spoke up, his voice firm in a way I rarely heard. "Yes, you have been." He looked at his mother. "Laura is my wife, my partner, my everything. For 2 years you've made her feel unwelcome in this family. For 2 years you've judged her, insulted her, tried to drive us apart." Kevin hung his head. "Daniel, we're so sorry." Daniel's grip on my hand tightened. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to her. One by one, they faced me. Patricia first, tears streaming down her face. Laura, I'm deeply, truly sorry. For everything, every cruel word, every look, every assumption. Kevin's voice shook. I was cruel and stupid. I judged you without knowing you. Please forgive me. Melissa could barely speak through her tears. I was jealous and petty. You deserved so much better than how I treated you. Grace stepped closer. I was fake and two-faced. I smiled while hurting you. I'm ashamed of myself. I listened to each apology, saw the genuine remorse in their eyes. The fear they'd experienced had cracked something open in them, let them see clearly for the first time. I don't need apologies, I said quietly. I need respect. Patricia nodded eagerly. You have it. You absolutely have it, Laura. I continued, and I need you to accept that Daniel chose me. Not for money, not for status, for love. Real, true love. Patricia reached out hesitantly and touched my arm. I see that now. I truly, finally see it. You're not just Daniel's wife. You're the woman who saved our lives when we deserved nothing from you. You're extraordinary. 3 weeks later, we were back at Angelo's. It was Tuesday evening, our sacred night. Daniel and I walked in hand, and Angelo greeted us with his warm smile. My heroes! Your usual table? I smiled back. Actually, Angelo, we're meeting family tonight. His eyebrows shot up. He knew our history, knew what family dinners meant. But he showed us to the large table without comment. Patricia arrived first, and when she saw me, she hugged me. Really hugged me, genuinely. Thank you for coming, Laura. It means everything. Melissa was next, and her compliment about my dress, the same simple style I always wore, was sincere. Laura, you look beautiful, really beautiful. Kevin pulled out my chair respectfully. Grace asked how I'd been, really wanting to know, really listening to my answer. We sat together, one table, and for the first time in 2 years, there was real conversation. Patricia asked about my past, genuinely interested. I shared a little, carefully, about my military service. They listened with respect and awe. Kevin raised his glass. To Laura, the strongest person I know, and I mean that. Everyone raised their glasses. Daniel squeezed my hand under the table, his eyes shining with love and pride. That night changed everything, not just because I revealed who I was, but because they finally saw what I valued most. Not revenge, not proving myself, not putting them in their place, just love. Pure, simple love for Daniel. I learned that family isn't about blood or money or social status. It's about who stands beside you when danger comes. It's about who you choose to protect, no matter the cost. I'm still Laura, still simple, still quiet. I still shop at regular stores and wear comfortable shoes. But now they know. Now everyone knows. Never underestimate the power of someone who loves deeply. Because that kind of love will move mountains. That kind of love will face down armed criminals. That kind of love will fight for you, protect you, save you. And that kind of love is worth more than all the money in the world. Wow, what a journey, right? From being disrespected and humiliated to becoming the hero who saved everyone, Laura's story shows us that we should never judge people by their appearance or background. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more incredible stories. Drop a comment below telling me, would you have forgiven Daniel's family after how they treated you? And what do you think Laura's most badass moment was? Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by others' opinions. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, the quietest person in the room might just be the strongest. I'll see you in the next story. Take care.